What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Flex podcast from the Action Network and Fantasy Labs. I am your host, Chris Raybon. NFL Week 8 is here. As always, I'm joined to break down the Week 8 waiver wire with one of the most accurate rankers in the game, the odds maker, Sean Kerner. Sean, what's going on? How was your Week 7?
Had a rough week, but ended on a win, so that's always nice. But not sure why. My even number weeks have been just immaculate. And then odd numbers, been given some of the money back. Thank God that the even number weeks have been higher than the lows of the odd weeks. So I'm very happy it's week 8. But how about you? I know you had a good week.
Yeah, had a good week. Ended on an L with the Jets, but you know what do you expect betting the Jets? But overall, thought I had some pretty good calls in fantasy. I know for our DFS pod, our fantasy DFS preview pod. A lot, I think over half, if like not nice. 60 or 70% of our guys hit. So I know I had a pretty good week in there. I've had some bad calls too, but overall I thought I was pretty on top of the caps for most of the non-Jets situations last week. So yeah. Feeling good. And I think you and I have been kind of alternating, you know, who gets like really hot in a week. So I think you're even. So this is the week.
I've been extreme, but man, I had some bad beats. Not gonna vent about them here. I already did that, but some weird coaching decisions this week. A lot of big name injuries.
Yeah,
and I guess like Amon-Ra St. Brown had the lowest wide receiver 1 score in over a decade or something. Just a kind of a weird week.
Yeah. It was odd. It was definitely odd, but I was kicking myself because I wanted. I was well on Juju all week, and then he pops up the hamstring, and I was like, how are books not giving us this 4.5 receptions? You know, because he caught like 7. So I'm like, and then I got distracted on the early slate because I was winning everything.
We're too busy. Yeah, we're too busy to just do props. Like that's the thing. I know people realize that I give myself like 2 hours a week to actually look at these damn things. Yeah, but yeah, like. Wait, he had 7 catches before the bye.
And then he comes in and gets hurt. I mean, even if he doesn't get hurt, like it's Juju, like he's just not.
I was looking at longest reception under 18.5 yards.
You're right. Yeah,
I have a document of all the bets I didn't make, and they pretty much all hit. So that's just how it goes. The process is sound. I just arrived at the wrong ones. You like the Calvin Ridley under 3.5? I was on that train last week.
Oh, thank God I didn't bet that.
You know, he finished with 3.
Oh, he did? My God! Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that.
Sorry.
I thought for sure he went over. I don't even remember looking at that box score. I just remember seeing him catching passes, and I was like, okay, he's fine.
No, you hit the nail on the head. I was on that last week, but still, I think 3.5 is too high, no matter who's under center right now. But we digress. The process is there.
I think. You know. I want to say on this show, on our preseason high lows, I'm pretty sure my low guy was Ridley for wide receiver. So,
nice. I do remember that.
He's. I don't know. He's just been off. It's just been off. I don't think it's not all on him, but he hasn't looked quite right to me. But let's talk about some guys who do look quite right. Start a quarterback on the waiver wire. Mentioned to you off air that I have the Broncos win total over, so I'm feeling good. And I know you're feeling good about their rookie quarterback.
Yeah, so Bo Nix available in 87% of leagues. They get to face the Panthers this week. So he opens the week as my QB 12. I still think Sam Darnold's the best, week 8 long-term option if he's still available. But Bo Nix is a great week 1 rental this week against the Panthers. He's shown just a ton of improvement as the season has gone on. And, this is a matchup where he might not have to throw a ton, but that's not really how he's generating fantasy production anyway. The Broncos have the 4th highest team total, so his touchdown projection gets a huge boost. He probably won't throw for many touchdowns, but the rushing touchdown projection goes up for the Broncos, and he's involved in that, right? He has 3 rushing touchdowns on the air, very involved just in the running game in general and near the, goal line. So he just has a ton of rushing upside. Back-to-back games now of 60-plus rushing yards. I mean, I thought he would be like a rushing kind of quarterback, but he's exceeded those expectations. He now has, either 60 rushing yards or a touchdown in 5 of 7 games. So that just gives him a very high floor ceiling combo. And this is the week where I think he is just inside, the QB1 discussion. Going forward, maybe he's, maybe a mid-range QB2, just the passing yards aren't there. But this week, it's all coming together in my model. So he's QB12 to open the week.
He's my QB8, and he's a Deebo Samuel sneeze away from me dropping him below Purdy. So, above Purdy, and Purdy below him. So, he might be by like QB7 by the time it's all said and done. I actually have him above Darnold. I have him above Darnold by one spot right now.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I think
you have him,
sorry,
you have him higher than me, but my initial raw dog projections had him QB5. But I had to lower the passing touchdown share.
You gotta put a condom on that projection.
Yeah. Double bagged it. So the passing touchdown percentage goes down when you're a big favorite like this. So that kind of bumped him down a bit. But like I said, he's involved in the rushing touchdown share. So that's why he's still high. But initially he was QB5 and it just, shocked me, but it makes sense. He's got that rushing upside that we like.
Yeah. And he's the offense, it continues to evolve. And I think, Sean Payton has done a really good job of kind of feeling out what he can do and what he can't do and putting him in positions. Yeah. And one of the things I noticed with them is that unlike almost every other team, maybe it's kind of like Jalen Hurts last year, but they don't always have hot routes or he's not recognizing them and calling them out. But a lot of times when there's a free runner, it's just his job to just make a miss and scramble. So that's adding rushing yardage, in the place of passing yardage, which for fantasy will take that all day. And I think they're starting to get their best group of receivers in the mix now. You got Sutton. I know he didn't do anything last week, but you got Sutton, and then they're using Franklin and Vele, the two rookies, as the number 2-3 receivers. So I think he's going to continue to improve as a passer as the year goes on. But you mentioned Sam Darnold. That's who I got. He is still available in 55% of weeks, so just over half. So if you can't get him, obviously Bo Nix, I like him just as much. But going up against the Rams on Thursday night, good spot for him. He's my QB9. He's indoors. The Rams were 24th in DVOA against the pass, and Darnold's the QB13 in points per game, so right on that QB1 cusp. He's tied for 5th with 12 touchdown passes. He's got Justin Jefferson. He's got Jordan Addison healthy. Might even get TJ Hawkinson this week. We'll see. It's a short week, so the fact that he didn't play in week 7, maybe they sit him another week. But either way, great offense. 22-27, one really bad throw that made the difference in the game, I think, last week against Detroit, that throw to Branch. He wasn't throwing to Branch, but he was trying to throw to Addison, but he ended up throwing to Branch. And he will have some of those, but I think he's firmly entrenched in this QB1 spot. He's playing too well, I think, still with that one mistake to even be at risk of in-game benching or anything like that. So, I like Darnold as a top 10 option this week. All right, let's go to running back. Running back's been interesting this year. You got a couple of changing of the guards that have already happened, and some younger guys popping off. Who do you like on the wire for running back heading into week 8?
Outside of the typical backups, I always tell people to stash. Alexander Mattison is somebody that I think should be rostered, available in 46% of leagues. It was interesting because he maintained the clear lead role, even though Zamir White returned. So that's, great for Madison's long-term value. The Raiders still don't trust Zamir in passing situations, which is an issue for a shitty team like the Raiders.
And he has because
they're going to be trailing it.
Well, yeah. That's good. Yeah. That's more so. But they got
not that Alexander Mattison is, Christian McCaffrey here, but he is better than Zamir White.
Well, no, he's not White. No, he's not.
You're really baiting me today, but Madison, he only has so much upside in this offense, so he's probably going to peak right here around RB3 flex range, but it's at least a consistent role. And then Ray Davis, available in 75% of leagues, outproduced James Cook despite playing half the snaps. A lot of it came on a garbage time touchdown, 3rd and long around the goal line, ruined my Bills Titans under, of course.
I know.
Yeah, just so many of those this week. But Ray Davis is legit, man. He's legit. Yeah. So I think that he's a way where, they could limit Cook's workload on early downs just to keep him fresh all season. I don't know why they wouldn't do that. But, he's someone we can maybe trust in lineups when Cook is healthy, because he could carve out enough of a role to be, an RB3 flex option when we know that the Bills are going to, blow a team out, which could be pretty often going forward. And he'll offer RB2 value if Cook ever misses time. And last but not least, just a complete dart throw here, Kendre Miller. Most leagues you don't need to stash him. But, he looks solid in his season debut, and he's Alvin Kamara injury away of RB3 flex value. Plus, with their season, circling down the drain, they could end up trading Kamara away. Either way, they'd probably want to evaluate Miller, if he's healthy, of course, towards the end of the season to just see what they have in him going forward. I thought he was a great prospect last year. Again, hasn't been healthy, but I think towards the end of the season, he could be somebody we're actually starting in situations. So I think he's just a dart throw that we need to just monitor at least.
Yeah, it's like, who does Dennis Allen hate more? Alvin Kamara for just running him uselessly, before in the end of the first half and getting him hit. Jamal Williams for scoring that touchdown.
I had Rattlers under completion prop and seeing them dump it off for 0 yards. Call timeout. Dump it off for 0 yards. Call timeout.
He hates Kamara.
And then kneel it.
And then he hates Jamal Williams for scoring that touchdown last year at the end of the Atlanta game. And then he hates Kendre Miller for just being Kendre Miller. So, it's just who does he hate the least? Kendre Miller has gotten in the game, gotten more snaps lately than Williams. So, yeah. Well, he in his first game, I should say. But Mims got more snaps the week before, too.
Yeah. Will Dennis Allen be the coach at the end of the season, though? That's the question.
Saints fans hope not. One guy I'll add to this is Tyrone Tracy Jr. He's still available in 53% of leagues, and I think people kind of saw Devin Singletary come back last week, and Tyrone Tracy only gets 9 touches, and it's like, all right, it's over. But Tracy outsnapped Singletary 67% to 21%, and he played almost all of the passing down snaps. So going forward, the Giants season, another, with Andrew Thomas missing at least 4 games, their season's kind of circling the drain as well. So I would expect Tracy to actually maintain a pretty that RB1 role in that backfield. Now it's going to be a lot tougher without Thomas, but they might go a little run heavier without him as well, because they just cannot pass protect without Andrew Thomas in the lineup. So I think there's going to be some better weeks coming for Tracy. I think he's clearly the most talented, highest upside back in this backfield, and kind of like Miller, they have an incentive to kind of see what he has, except he's already kind of in that RB1 role. So I would grab him off waivers. Maybe not the greatest matchup this week against Pittsburgh, but it's the last game of the week. So it's nice to have that, on your bench either way, even if it's blocking your opponent or something. All right. Wide receiver, who we got?
Juwan Jennings is available in a nice 69% of leagues right now. And with, Ayuk out for the season, I think he can offer wide receiver 3 value the rest of the way. And Debo's looking doubtful this week. He's dealing with that scary situation with pneumonia. Even Kittle has a foot injury and might not play. So
the whole 9. It's that time.
Well, Jennings himself,
4-9 IR.
Yeah, it's crazy. But, Jennings himself is also dealing with a hip injury. He didn't play last week. So if he could suit up, could offer wide receiver 2 value if Debo's out as well. But I think either way, long-term, his stock goes up with Ayuk, unfortunately, out for the rest of the season. And then someone else you're going to talk about I like as well. But the other guy worth mentioning is Jalen McMillan, available in 97% of leagues. But looks like, Godwin's out for a long time. Mike Evans, I can't imagine he suits up this week. That looked pretty bad. So McMillan could be the one that steps up as a top receiver. I mean, he was operating as the number 3 when everyone was healthy earlier in the season. But, he got hurt, so he's been moving around. But I think he's, closer to 100% health now. So either way, he's going to be in the mix. Could be running around on over 90% of Baker's dropbacks either way. So I think he's worth a stash. Maybe we can't trust him this week, but I think, long term, he could pop up given good matchups and offer some wide receiver 3 value. I still think he has a ton of upside as a rookie. And, he's a good downfield pass catcher too. So I think he has some nice upside.
Yeah, like the good news on Monday night was that, with everything going on, he got a season career high, 8 targets. The bad news was he only caught 3 for 15 yards. But going forward, I think that's still promising because he did, like you said, open the year ahead of Trey Palmer. Shepard was still on the practice squad. So I think those 3 guys for this week, it's going to be those 3 guys getting the majority of the snaps, assuming Evans is out as well. And McMillan was ahead of all of them to start the year. So that bodes well for him. Ricky Pearsall, he's available in 94% of leagues. And I think this is the time to kind of a guy who probably has value this week. If Debo's out, Jennings is not even a guarantee to play. I think he's going to be the most popular ad, but who knows if he's 100%. Either way, Pearsall, right first game, 84% of the routes, of the dropbacks of Brock Purdy with all those injuries going on. And after halftime, when that's when Ayuk went out around halftime, Debo went out early in the game. So after halftime, Pearsall was targeted. He got a 29% target share after the half. So they're already comfortable looking his way. They're already comfortable giving him a pretty decent workload. So I think this week, just how everything's shaping up with Debo probably on the wrong side of questionable and Jennings truly questionable, I think there's a good shot Pearsall is a top 3 option. Almost guaranteed he's a top 3 option, maybe even a top 2 for this team as soon as this week. So I think now's the time to add him. And one other guy I'll mention is Keon Coleman. And he's still available in 56% of leagues, and I get it. They just traded for Amari Cooper, but he did put up 4 catches for 125 yards last week. And he's still, he's still only, 7 games into his career. And the Cooper move could actually help him. I know Shakir's also been there, but Shakir's been more of an underneath guy. So I still think there's some upside with Coleman, and the fact that now they have Cooper, they might also just be willing to go a little more pass heavy. Mac Hollins, the whole thing about him was, okay, he's a great run blocker, and he was playing a lot, but now they did throw 33 times against the Titans in a pretty big blowout. So maybe Buffalo's kind of getting back to what we saw with Josh Allen for most of the last few years, and in that situation, I still want to kind of buy low on Keon Coleman here, who's probably getting a little underrated because of the trade. So I still think he has a lot of talent, and he might just get single covered all day now with this Cooper move. So I'm still adding him where I can.
Yeah, and back to Ricky Pearsall real quick. Even Chris Conley got hurt.
Saw that.
Massive for this is something that only freaks like us that already have our initial projections by Tuesday morning would realize. But Chris Conley being injured also boosts Pearsall. So Pearsall could be just a full-time player this week and going forward.
Yeah, because I think Ronnie Bell kind of fallen out of favor a little bit. I know he almost had a tutty last week, but he's been kind of falling out, and they don't seem to trust Jacob Cowan yet either. So again, I think the best thing for Pearsall, I don't think he looked amazing out there, but I think the best thing for him was that he got that 84% route participation rate last week, because that just shows they already kind of trust him over these guys that have been hanging around for a year or two. Like Ronnie Bell's about to go the way of Danny Gray. Remember him?
Oh yeah.
I know, it seems like
Dante
a long time
Pettis.
Yeah. I mean, Dante Pettis probably pops up. Where is he? He's probably going to pop up on the Chiefs or the Saints.
He's still playing, right? Like,
he's somewhere. Yeah. He signed with someone. I thought. Let's see.
Great.
Yeah, we always got to check. He's like the John Samuel Shank. No, the Cole Fotheringham checks. Let's see.
Yeah,
Saints. Well, I knew it.
Oh shit. Yeah, he could pop up then.
Yeah. All right, tight end. Who you like on the wire for week 8?
Oh, baby. Cade Otton, available in 61% leagues. Probably requires a hefty bid, though, to get him. But if you recall our league winners pod, I actually mentioned him, that he had league winning upside because his playing time is elite. He just hasn't seen targets. I also mentioned ever since he took over the starting job over Cam Brate, if you can imagine, back in 2022, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans have been healthy 100% of the game since then. So he's yet to see the boost we typically see other tight ends get. You know, if one or two of the top pass catchers miss time, they move
Todd
up.
Bowles, Todd Bowles says, hold my beer on that. You know, Evans and Godwin healthy.
Oh.
Todd Bowles is like, hold my beer. Hold my shit.
Well, I almost brought it up last week, and, you know, devastating injuries for both. Wish them the best. But, you know, Cade Otton stepped up with 8 catches, 100 yards. So, you know, he's getting the playing time. He's actually been seeing a higher target share the past few games, but now with both wide receivers out, I think he's going to be the focal point of the passing offense. Curious to hear where you have him, but he opens the week as my tight end 3.
I have him tight end 6. 6.
Yeah,
I thought I was high.
Yeah. But like going forward, going forward, he's a top 10 tight end. And just given the position this year, if you need help, like he's probably worth whatever it takes to get him on the waiver wire. Again, you should have guys like Blake Corum, Zach Charbonnet, Tyler Algier on your bench anyway. So I think if you need help at tight end, go for it. Like you got to get this guy.
Bro, it's 2024. Everyone needs help at tight end.
True.
Although now we haven't seen, like, you know, Andrews had a couple good games in a row. Pitts has had a couple good games in a row. So maybe coming around at this position.
Andrews is still tough to trust. We'll get to that in the projections pod.
That was a bad call by me, though. I had him ranked like 20th. That was not good. That's my fault. Hunter Henry for me, 73% of leagues. Talked about it on our fantasy preview pod on this channel that he's usually the number 1, number 2 tight end in this offense, or target in this offense when there's like a functional passing game, or passer, I should say, which hasn't been the case for much of the last few years. But I do think he is streamable. This week he's available in 73% of leagues. In the 2 games with Drake May, he's averaging 5.5 receptions for 65.5 yards, and he has a touchdown in one of those games. So this could be a ongoing trend because Drake May is actually throwing for yards. That just was not happening with Jacoby Brissett at the quarterback position for the New England Patriots. Drake May averaging, about 240, 250 per start here. And Brissett, I mean, it was below 150 for him, 139 for Jacoby Brissett. Drake May has thrown for what is it? Yeah, 243 and 276. So yeah, he's above 250, 5 touchdowns in the 2 starts for Drake May. And he hasn't been over scrambling either. He's got, 5 attempts in his first start, 3 in his second one. So he's still looking downfield, throwing the ball. He's averaging 35 attempts and 23 completions per start. So all good news for Patriot pass catchers, but the receiver room's a mess right now. And Henry is a reliable target. So yeah, I think he might, another guy that might push for TE1 value rest of the year, the way things are trending. All right. Defense, special team streamer. We got.
I'm going with the Los Angeles Chargers, available in 58% of leagues. They're at home against the Saints. Wait, do both LA teams play at home? Both LA teams play at home this week. What the hell are we doing going to the Wailer on a Wednesday night instead? Yeah, they probably
night.
They probably get
no football. It's a one game. Yeah. There's no football.
No football.
Unless we get like a pneumonia outbreak.
One night. Oh, I know. Well, Spencer Rattler will probably get the start here again, which should lead to. Don't even get me started on it. Oh my God! And then Jake Haener threw led them to the touchdown that went over my bet as well. Jake Haener outscored Patrick Mahomes and CJ Stroud, CJ Stroud and someone else good. Anyways, I digress.
He probably outscored them if you add them all together.
One drive.
Well, anyways, it sounds like rushing touchdowns, but yeah.
The only reason Haener came in is because Rattler got banged up on that play. Dennis Allen is not benching Spencer Rattler. That's very clear right now. So should lead to an increase in sacks, turnovers. And to be fair, it's not all Rattler's fault. I mean, the offensive line is a disaster. Both top wide receivers are out. I'm not just bashing Spencer Rattler. This Saints team is a disaster. That's why I want to stream the Chargers this week. Hopefully Joey Bosa can finally return this week. That'll boost them up even more. But as of now, they're my defense 3. So they're just a must stream, in my opinion, this week.
3 sounds low. I think I have them number
well,
1.
I have the Ravens.
Two. I have them two.
Yeah, I have the Ravens and Steelers above them.
Fair. Yeah, actually, yeah, they're right there with the Steelers.
And they're taking in every league, right?
Yeah. I mean, like 92% of weeks. I don't know. What is those 8% of weeks? It's just not people just not paying attention or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's got to be it. And the Broncos and Jets have nice matchups this week. It's a top heavy week at defense for a change.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about the Jets, but let's talk about let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. That's my call. So I have your Chargers number 2. I have the Chiefs number 4. Gardner Minshew, this Raider team. I mean, they've lost the plot a little bit. Like it's just they couldn't score a touchdown against the Rams last week. The Rams defense. They couldn't score a touchdown. Just 5 field goals or whatever. It's bad. Without your boy, now they got to go. Without your boy Aiden O'Connell, they got to go back to Minshew. Maybe Desmond Ridder gets snaps. Their O-line has been underperforming even when healthy. You mentioned it, like Alexander Madison is their best runner option, which probably is not great. It's just their offense is in shambles. Now it's like Jacoby Myers is out every week. Is he just pulling a Devontae Adams? Like I don't. It seems suspicious. Mayer's on IR. It's just tough, and this Chiefs defense, they just one of those teams. They try to round in the shape as the year goes on. Like we talked about it last. I think we talked about it last week how they were a little shaky against the pass early in the year. Now after that game against San Francisco, they're up to 4th in defensive DVOA, 5th against the pass, 7th against the run, and they usually stink against the run. So it's going to be a tough matchup, and the Vegas Raiders are giving up the 3rd most fantasy points to opposing defense special teams units. So feel good about both of these. Should be. I know, like you always say, can't guarantee a top 10 with these. It's a lot of variance to touchdown and stuff, but 2 very good matchups for these 2 AFC West teams, the Chiefs and Chargers.
Yeah, pouring out for Aiden O'Connell. Although I think if Minshew plays the rest of the way, he might not clear, 2,600? He still needs 1,500 yards to clear that. I don't know if he could do it. Either way, I might need Desmond Ridder to step up at some point. So that's how that prop's going.
He's active every week, but never gets snaps. Tyreek McAllister. I thought he had a couple of flashes in preseason and college. Good. I feel like he's one of those like chess pieces. Just never gets snaps on offense. They played like Justin Shorter over him at receiver, so I guess he's not a great route runner or something.
He's like a running back. And
but they have him listed at receiver.
And Justin Shorter is now a tight end. What
but he played receiver. So don't get me started. Yeah. Parker Hesse's been a fullback. Now a tight end. Now he's a fullback.
We need to get Brock Bowers out of Vegas. Like, this is bad. We have maybe the best tight end in the league. Don't hate me. On the Raiders right now.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Thank good. No. How unwatchable would the Raiders be if they didn't have Brock Bowers right now? I mean, it's already tough. It's a tough watch already.
Yeah. Well, I don't watch him with Brock Bowers, so that
so I watch every snap, and it's not always fun.
After AOC got hurt, I just turned it off, looked away.
All right, kicker streamer for week 8.
Well, as long as Will Reichert's going to be available in 90% of leagues, I'm going to stick with him. He's now 12 of 12 from the field. 18 of 18 from extra points. But more importantly, still perfect 4 of 4 from 50 plus. I think he's becoming one of the best kickers in the league. All-time leading scorer in college football. Like, he's got the pedigree. He usually gets to kick indoors. He's kicking indoors in LA this week. He's on a high-scoring offense. Like, why is he not taken in most leagues right now? I think he's going to be a top 5 kicker the rest of the way. This week he's inside my top 5, but he's just one of those kickers where he checks every single box. So he's a must add, and you could just play him the rest of the season if you really wanted to.
I feel like it's because, like you said, popular guy in college, but I feel like all of the trend amongst all the youngins is to just not play with kickers. So you probably just have a bunch of old heads who never heard of this guy. Like when it's like, who? Will Reichert? Yeah, who? And the Vikings also, it is week 8, but I don't know if everyone's kind of adjusted because remember, Evan convinced me last week about how the Vikings would have been, if they had won, the first team to have a win total below 7 and go 6-0 to start the year. So I feel like people are kind of, still kind of catching on to how good the Vikings are. That's why Darnold continues to be available. Jalen Naylor was underpriced like the entire year in DFS. Yeah. So I think people are just the market's still catching on, but like Reichert as well. And I'll go with Cameron Dicker here. A bunch of options. Even Jason Sanders is pretty high, but I'm going to go with the guy kicking indoors at home, and that's Cameron Dicker. He's still available in 54% of leagues. The Saints allowing the third most fantasy points per game to kickers, and Dicker is the kicker 8 this season in points per game. So should be another solid week for him. Chargers offense, it doesn't look quite right. Just really this whole year. Yeah. So should get some kicking opportunities. All right, that is going to do it for our Week 8 waiver wire episode here on the Fantasy Flex. Make sure to subscribe to the Fantasy Flex podcast so you don't miss an episode all season long. If you've been listening to the channel, Kerner and I drop 3 eps per week. We got our fantasy preview episode and our player projections episode coming as well. FantasyLabs.com for all of Sean and I's fantasy football content, including our award-winning rankings and projections. You can use promo code FLEX40, FLEX40, for $40 off a Fantasy Lab subscription. Right now, Sean is on X at @_oddsmaker. I'm at Chris Raybon. We're at those same handles on the free award-winning Action Network app. Until the next pod, let's get this money.